streaming.
Oh God, we're live.
Oh Lord. Oh Lord,
Oh,
we're live.
It's really happening.
It's really happening. Yep. I like how YouTube Gaming says go live. And it's like, but we are live.
Even YouTube takes a while to get caught up, huh?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it definitely does. And we are live now. I'm just gonna go over to our.
Even YouTube takes a while to get.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's funny because you said that, and then I pulled it up, and then it was just your voice again. So I'm staring at my son who's watching me through the glass here, but we are live right now. For those just tuning in, which is probably everyone because we've only been live for a couple seconds. I am Tony, this is Richie, and we're here with Lady Pelvic from Pelvic Gaming. She runs a mostly retro gaming channel, lately focusing a lot on JRPGs.
Wise decision.
Yes.
A lot of JRPGs, and we're just going to kind of shoot the shit, everybody, while we're waiting for people to get notified. But I watched the Breath of Fire review the other day, and Breath of Fire has always been something I've been very curious about. And I'm like, should I not? And then I watch a review, I'm like, nah, son.
No, it's a man. It did not age well. I'm telling you. If you have time to grind, I mean, majority of that game is grinding. You know, there are cute, charming moments in between, but it's just not worth it.
Breath of Fire 2 is even worse as far as the grind goes.
Ooh.
Yes! Yeah, I made a video on that. Like, that will be released in 2 weeks. It's already done, but oh my god.
But yeah, Breath of Fire 2 was one of my first RPGs, and it has not aged well either.
Have you played Breath of Fire 1, Richie?
Yes.
Okay.
And I played little bits of 3, 4, and I think I actually played most of 5, but it's a secondary series. It's not
your prime.
It's not a Final Fantasy caliber.
We already have our first super chat from Entrance Jew, our Patreon supporter, who actually is planning on meeting us at the meet and greet. And as per mandatory, when you get a super chat, $2. Thank you very much. He says, "I am Yard for games."
I like it.
So it means that he is very anti-metric system.
He also notices that we're drinking lawnmower beers, so
yeah.
Anti-metric system. I like that. That was
actually, I'm very fancy with my Pepsi or Coke in a glass. Of course, it's in a glass. In a plastic wine glass.
Is there at least like half a shot of vodka in there?
No, there's actually no alcohol at all in here. You know what we should do is
I have shame for Tony.
We should plug this in here so we don't get sort of that double audio effect with Amber. And I'll give you left. I'll take right, and then we'll be best friends.
Nice.
Okay.
Friendship.
Friendship forever.
Oh, now the audio is so close.
Yeah. Let's do one quick test. Amber, can you say something?
Yeah. Hey. How's it going? Breath of Fire sucks. Don't play it.
All right. We're going to drop her down a little bit. Okay, cool. All right. Let us know, everyone, how the audio sounds. We've been tinkering with it. OBS kind of changed some settings around on us here. So let's go ahead and get started. So, guys, you know, this is H4G Games Gaiden. If you've been watching the show for a little while, H4G Games Gaiden was our side show. We're sort of podcasty. Everyone was recommending that we stream it on Twitch, but we were like, we'll do half of that. And stream it on YouTube, since you guys are already our YouTube audience. And we figured this would be a good opportunity to show you guys the terrible first takes, where we ramble, instead of the good second takes. So originally we were not doing it live because we'd do one, and then we're like, that was not great. And then we'd shoot it again. We're like, oh, that cleaned up nice. You know,
it's your job now to keep us on track. If we go too far in any direction, gong us.
Yeah, just give us that gong in the form of a super chat. No, I'm just kidding. But we have Regina Nichols says, "Oh my God, hi Pelvic Gaming" in the chat. So we got one of your fans in the chat here.
Hello. Oh, I feel so special. Yay.
So again, let us know if you can hear Lady Pelvic properly, hear us properly. We are fiddling with the audio pretty consistently here. But let's go ahead and get started here. And we're going to start with one of our Patreon questions from our Patreon supporter, William H. So this is just our warm-up question. You know, is it really beating a game if you utilize save states / emulation / cheats? Richie, I see a face that you're making. Why don't you start that one off?
I feel like it's kind of like in the speedrunning community, you have tool assisted versus just vanilla game experience. So I feel like it can still be beating the game if you use cheat save states. Cheats maybe not so much, but still,
yeah,
you can have like tool assisted feats that you can't possibly pull off without them, that are still difficult to pull off and impressive and things like that. But I would generally say that no, you're really only beating the game if you do it vanilla. But I would say that emulators count as long as you keep them on settings that are fairly faithful to the product.
Yeah, you know, do you mind if I tag in here? I would say that cheats, that's a pretty, you know, but emulation, if you're faithful, I mean, that's fine, because there are just going to be some games that you can't afford to play, you know, and that's the way you got to do it, which will bring us into our next topic eventually here. But I was going to mention that, you know, when we reviewed Swagman, so I started playing that more and more. And I was actually, this was years ago though, I was playing it after a hip surgery. So I didn't really have much to do other than play video games. Just recovering from surgery.
It's like my real life.
Oh, yeah, there you go. So essentially what had happened was I was playing Swagman and it just got so incredibly difficult. But it was difficult for the wrong reasons. It was having this sort of semi-isometric, like, sort of field of view, but it actually wasn't. So you do these platforming jumps and you would land on the platform, but you'd literally just fall through. And so it got so difficult, and every time you died, it was like 2 minutes worth of load screen. So I put on a moon jump, right? And then I got to the last boss, and I'm just like, screw it, I put on invincibility because it was too hard. So did I beat the game? Probably with the invincibility, no, but I think with the moon jump, you know, I kind of still count it just because that's a situation where it's like, I'm not cheating. I mean, I am, but the developers are cheating me. The developers are cheating me because it's like they made a game that was trying to do something that it was incapable of doing, right? So, and yet they still did. So it was sort of a situation where it's like, yeah, I kind of still consider that I beat those levels, because screw it. Like, you're spending a half hour at the end of the day on load screens because you die so much. You know what I mean? So my thought process is a little bit more of a gray area on that topic. But why don't we go ahead and toss it over to Lady Pelvic?
See, I kind of agree with Richard on that. I don't really find it cheating as long as it's faithful to the original source. You know what I mean? For example, or like instantly saving. You know, during I think emulations, I think that's fine. I think it's fine. Like, cheats obviously are not like if you could walk through walls or just like one hit certain enemies that you shouldn't be able to one hit. Then yeah, I'm kind of like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing?
Yeah.
You know, same thing. Like Oni64 in the chat asked, like, are walkthroughs considered cheats? And I wouldn't consider walkthroughs cheats unless you are like literally reading it play by play. You know what I mean? If you're stuck on a part, like you're stuck on a puzzle where you're like, okay, I don't know how to raise the water, you know, in this damn water dungeon. Then it's, you have to look it up. I'll give you a pass. Yes, you still beat the game. Yes, you still fought Ganon. Yes, you still fought all these bosses on your own. You know, your own skills and blah, blah, blah. You feel me? So I think it's fine. I consider it beating a game as long as you're actually just not straight cheating. Again, phasing through walls, killing enemies in one hit, giving yourself buffs ahead of time, or like, you know, absurd buffs. You know, quad nines in the beginning of the game. Yeah, no.
Yeah, and I have another anecdote along these lines with Castlevania. So when I played Castlevania, I only played it once, so I'm still not very good, and it was pretty much essential to me that I get the power-up that lets you use 3 items at once to beat most of the bosses.
Yeah.
So I save stated at the beginning of every level, just so that if I died somewhere at the late in the level, I didn't have to jump off of the cliff 3 separate times to go back to the start of the level, or just redo the, you know, the passwords and all that stuff. So it's it could still be considered cheating, but
and you know, also I just want to know for future podcasts, we'll probably get a headphone splitter.
Yeah, this is a little cozy.
That's a little cozy.
I feel like we're the plot of like a terrible movie.
Yeah. It's Human Centipede with ears.
Oh my God, gross.
You know, it's natural. But anyways, speaking of unfair buffs, I've been feeling that way since I've had my kid, because he's like 30 pounds.
Ooh.
Flexing, flossing. Look at that, everybody. Look at that.
I have nothing to show off.
I really also have nothing to show off. We just got a super chat. Kill Pain 8787. And for $2, thank you so much. It says, "Is it wrong to be hard for games right now?" No,
never hard.
No,
or never wrong.
Never wrong.
Oh Lord.
Oh, mercy. What are you even trying to say? Yeah, I also think, just last quick thing regarding that topic. As I get older and I have less time, because kid, wife, work, hard for games, I don't care as much about using those cheats because it's like, I don't have time. Like, I just want to enjoy. If I'm enjoying, I don't really care. It doesn't really matter to me.
I mean, you still probably wouldn't say that you beat those games, but you experienced them.
Yes, experienced them. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the next subject here. So, we were going to be talking about Nintendo going after and shutting down ROM sites, which they had done a little bit in the past, but they've been extremely aggressive with multi-$100,000 potential suits on a per infringement basis. So I'm assuming that would be like a per ROM basis, and also I think it was like a million or multi-million-dollar suit per instance of like utilizing their trademarks. Or anytime it said like Nintendo or something like that. I don't know the exact details of it, but a lot of these ROM sites, including Emu Paradise, which Richie wants to pronounce Emu Paradise.
I will always pronounce it Emu Paradise. We got a very important super chat here from Matthew Swindle.
You can go ahead and read that.
Smoke weed every day.
I've actually been trying to de-weed my garden because, my God, the one who wanted to be didn't take good care of weeds up to your knees, and I smoke them as in I get rid of them. You know what I mean? Like destroy them. Boom, like in a race, just smoke them. So I agree. I've been trying to not use chemicals as much because I have a dog and a kid and I don't want them exposed to it. But sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Otherwise, I've been using a spade to kind of get in there and dig them out.
You don't want to expose your kids to weeds either, though.
No, of course not. So Matthew, thank you for that perfect advice for all of us gardeners out there. I really do appreciate it. But anyways, so a lot of sites have been reacting to this, and the big one that I'm familiar with, and there were a number of them, but one of the big ones was Emu Paradise because it was the sort of for me it was the mother lode. They always had what I needed.
Yep.
More recently I have been noticing certain Nintendo ROMs have been falling off the page, and then suddenly it was like bam, and they notified everybody. They're still like a game related website, but of course their traffic's going to drop to like nothing because they were essentially like, hey, we can't put our families at risk over this website, and I don't blame them on that end, of course, but our conversation is going to be more about Nintendo, which is a similar conversation we've had before. I think you were in this episode when we were talking about Nintendo shutting down fan projects.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very similar sort of conversation, but Lady Pelvic, you were last on the last topic, so why don't you be first on this one? What do you think your thoughts are in terms of the rights to should they, shouldn't they? How does it harm them, help them, this and that? Thought process.
Again, it's their property. I get it. They have every right to do so. It's just a damn shame, especially with these fan ones. These fan-made ones. That's just such a labor of love. Especially that, like, was it Salmon or Metroid, like A2 or something like that?
Oh yeah, the fan project. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's some really great fan projects. That Nintendo just doesn't give the spotlight to. Again, Metroid didn't get a lot of love for a long time. Like, yes, we're getting a new Metroid, and that's great and all, but the fans had to take it in their own hands. You know what I mean? For Nintendo to kind of be like, oh shit, there's a potential here. I get it. They're losing money when people make Pokemon games or Metroid or anything. I get it. It's their money. It's their product and whatnot. It's just, I think it's just kind of unfortunate.
What do you think about because a lot of these ROM sites, yeah, they have the fan projects, but they also have like legit actually released Super Nintendo games and this and that, but they're going after everything now. So it's like, these ROMs are going to be harder to acquire, and I think partially it's because they're setting up their like sort of eShop sort of situation with Virtual Console. I mean, do you think that's a right move business-wise? Do you think it hurts them or helps them in the long run?
At the end of the day, they're losing money on it. That's stuff that they could be selling. But at the same time, though, you know what? No, because they're not selling that anymore. You know what I mean? It's all sold out. All that.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? All that SNES, the original stuff. So I really don't understand how it's hurting them, with the exception of now that we're getting the Virtual Console kind of on the Switch, which will have those classic games. So why pay for it? You know, the $20 subscription service for a year, which isn't bad at all, and then, or you can just get it for free on these, you know, ROM sites. You know, so at the end of the day, as a business, but also as a business, I just feel like when you have people, when you have like fans making games of, you know, your IPs and stuff, trying to get love, that's more attention for you. That should be a clue. Like, wow, a lot of people are paying attention to this, you know, Metroid game. Let's you know, let's give them what they want. Let's give them that official. So I just, at the very least, though, what I think would be really cool is if they saw people make these fan projects and hire them. Be like, you know what, you know, the Metroid fans want. You know what the, you know, Legend of Zelda fans want. Come on board. So instead of like wiping them clean, or, you know, publish their game, or bring like pay them money to like take their work and then expand on it, but bring them along with, you know what I mean?
And I mean, that model gave us Sonic Mania, the best Sonic game that's ever been made.
Exactly. I was literally just about to go there. So I'm playing Sonic Mania right now, and that game is straight fire. I mean, the fans killed it out there. So Nintendo could do.
Excuse me, I was just going to say I prefer you focus on the podcast. Because if you're playing that right now, you're kind of multitasking a bit too much. So maybe you could set the controller down and focus on this.
Oh, leave me alone. Oh my gosh. Leave me alone. First I was like, wait, what did I do wrong? Leave me alone. I'm in this. I'm in here. I'm here.
My dad jokes are just really good lately. Sorry.
You're so proud of them.
Yeah, I know. It's bad.
But yeah, this is a very sad thing for me too, because that was a website that I always like to visit for my ROM needs, and now I have to go back to the deep dark corners of the internet where you have to get chlamydia to download a ROM. But it's just disappointing. It's like Nintendo's trying to be the Disney of the video game world, and they want to lock up their games in a vault and release them to you on their own schedule. Give you like the SNES Classic with mini cables, which very cool device, but still it's just, I'd rather it just be available to me however I want to play it, as opposed to you forcing me to buy another piece of hardware to play games that I already own for another piece of hardware that maybe doesn't work anymore, as opposed to just being able to use the hardware that I have, which is my very, very expensive computer, and just play games on that.
Quick interjection here. We got another super chat from the Tuxpeng. Is that how? What do you think? I don't know.
I like Tuxpeng.
Yeah, Tuxpeng. Yeah. So thank you very much for that. We do appreciate it. Yeah. So I mean, I can't say that my thought process is too much different than yours. Really, the both of you. But realistically, I think that it's sort of a situation where people are going to find these ROMs regardless.
Yes.
It's kind of like that old adage that, you know, if you make guns illegal, people will still get guns. If you make abortion illegal, people will still find a way. You know what I mean? Like, not to bring politics into it, but like those are generally the thought processes behind those particular, you know, movements. So it's like people are still going to find a way, you know? But speaking of chlamydia,
I'm very scared about where this is going.
But I could, one thing that I will say, you know, I could understand Nintendo not, because a lot of these ROM sites, and there, you go to and there's like porn ads and like, you know, like hentai. I'm just kind of extend that word so YouTube doesn't hear me and demonetize this. But it's like I could understand being Nintendo being like, I don't want my product associated with this. But I think that it was more than that, obviously. Like, I could understand if they were like, listen, find a different way to monetize, or don't put any ads on your site whatsoever, and we'll leave you the hell alone. But I think it was probably a combination of that, and they're just super protective, you know. And I think that's pretty much it. I think it's the wrong move. It hurts them in the long run. It's anti-consumer, but it's Nintendo, so that's what we come to expect.
Right.
What are you gonna do?
And I'll still buy their games as long as they keep making them good.
Yeah, for better or for worse. So next question here. Now, Richie, this was one that you had penned, so why don't you go ahead and read this off / give your thought process behind it.
Yeah, so I wanted to take a little bit of time to talk about Octopath Traveler, which came out, I don't know, maybe like a month or two ago.
Yeah, something like that.
And it just, I feel like it's the first game in a long, long time, maybe like 10 years or so, other than like the Bravely Default games, which are the same main cast and crew. But it's the first game in that like classic JRPG style that actually brings something new to the table. And I was disappointed with what they did with on the story side of things, but I just feel like there are so many things that you can do with like let me just start over on that.
See, normally we have 2 takes.
Yeah,
you
that
guys
was my first take.
You guys
so
made
here comes take number
live.
2.
You made us do it live, and then here we are, fans, live, and poor Richie's got his tongue tied over here. You know, I'm embarrassed. He's embarrassed. Lady Pelvic doesn't even want to be here anymore.
We're going to make this good,
We're going to make it good. Go ahead, take 2. Let's rock it.
But yeah, I feel like RPGs have basically split into 2 main kind of veins in the last few years. The first being like the action RPG type of game where you're pretty much one guy exploring a reasonably detailed slice of world. So like think Fallout, Elder Scrolls, The Witcher, even kind of Final Fantasy 15 just sort of tagged on the rest of the party in there for you. And then the other side of things is the super technical, really spatially oriented kind of RPG, kind of coming off of the tails of the Infinity Engine games and things like that. But the middle ground, like the regular old turn-based RPG where you can have like a bunch of encounters, I don't feel like it's been getting that much love lately. And I really enjoyed the fact that Octopath actually had some new ideas for the gameplay side of thing.
You're clipping a little bit, just so you know.
Oh, man.
But go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, I feel like this is the first time that it's been on like a key console. You know, Nintendo Switch, it's a $60 price point. You've got live orchestrated music. It just feels like one of the first games, other than maybe like a couple Dragon Quest and Persona games, that have really given that genre any attention at all.
So, Lady Pelvic, why don't you jump into that? And you can also argue him on the story if you'd like. I noticed that you had quite a strong reaction.
Yeah, it did seem that you had some things to say about that.
Now, you two have played the entire game. Is that correct?
I've played through one storyline all the way. I haven't gotten to where everything comes together yet, but I've spoiled it a little bit for myself.
Okay. I've played the demo, which I know they've made some tweaks. Of course, that's only the opening for 2 characters. So I have a little bit to say, but not a whole lot. But Lady Pelvic, have you played the whole game yet?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so go on with your thoughts.
Well, I do agree with the turn. Like, definitely brought something refreshing. I think what makes Octopath Traveler to me very special is, one, they took the old like turn-based gameplay and they made it interesting with breaking. You know what I mean? Breaking the enemy's defenses, and that's so refreshing. Normally, it's just standard enemy weaknesses like fire, ice, and they had that, but you had to break their defenses. You couldn't just hit them with fire and then they did like stupid amount of damage. It always did half. So if their weakness was fire, that's good, but if their defenses weren't gone, you know, you still only did half the amount of damage you'd normally be doing. And then the story, why I think the stories are so refreshing is where I am so used to being fed in JRPGs, the classic save the world. Think of Persona, Breath of Fire, Chrono Trigger, Xenogears. All of this is to save the world, save humanity. Xenosaga, or not Xenosaga, I can't speak on that, but Xenoblade, all of that to save the world. And this is more of a personal touch. I'm not going to go into super spoilers or whatever. Like, all the stories do come like together, but it is in a very much half-assed way how the stories come together. But if you look at the stories like individually, they're very personal, you know. And I think another thing that this game does is you could choose which story to go, like, to do first. You know, it's Octopath. You get to choose which path you want to tread on. Or if you're playing a Tales of game, the Tales of series, like, each character has their background story, but it's a pretty linear story. You know what I mean? Like, you have to get this character. You can learn about this character at this point in time. Then you go to the next segment. It's this character at this point in time. And that's all fine and all. But Octopath, you go at your own, you have more or less go at your own pace. And I really like that. So I like that it's personal. You know, each mini story is tailored to that character and gives that character that, like, just personal struggle. And I like that you could choose which character you want to expand on whenever you want. So that's why.
Yeah, so
I thought it was good. Go ahead.
My only thoughts really is that I do agree that I like that it was more personal story. I know originally when you had penned this, Richie, you kind of was saying like, is it a watershed moment? Like, is it going to affect games moving forward?
Well, it's definitely been selling really, really well.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that it will bring some more attention back to the genre, because it's, like I said, it's kind of the forgotten genre. And there are a lot of things that you can do with a battle system like this one, where it's pretty quick and efficient, but there's still like some strategic opportunities there, like Lady Pelvic pointed out. And you can really explore a world when you have a battle system like that. When you have like the Infinity Engine type of games, I just feel like I get so bogged down in inventory management, and the battles can take a long time and things like that, that the world gets a lot smaller, which is fine. I like that too. But I also like to have globe-trotting adventures where you see a bunch of different cultures, you see a bunch of different environments, and you get to explore and do that sort of stuff. And I think I'd like to see more of that.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, I think I would agree that I think probably what you're going to happen is you're going to see other developers notice that this did well. And I think that, the whole retro throwback thing has been around for a long, long time. But I kind of likened this a little bit to Chrono Trigger, not because it was like Chrono Trigger, but in our Chrono Trigger review, we were talking about how Chrono Trigger didn't, and this was years ago, didn't really do a lot new. But what they did do was take the best things and sort of piece them together. And so people kind of like think of it as this moment in history when it's like the best of the 16-bit genre kind of came together, although I think a lot of people would argue that it was revolutionary. You can't, whatever. But I do think that a lot of people will remember this title, and I think that a lot of developers will attempt to mimic the style. Whether they're successful or not, who knows? Hopefully, they're successful, because obviously more good games are always better. But
I certainly think so.
Yeah, I actually would like more bad games. It's a matter.
I don't know about that, man. Life's too short to play bad games, Tony. I don't know.
That's why I use
I'm playing
cheats.
Fire right now.
Sometimes life is too short to play good games.
Yeah, that's right. It is. Any final thoughts on that, guys?
No, I think we've beat that to death.
Yeah. Let us know your thoughts in the comments.
We did pretty good.
As well, let us know your thoughts in the comments, and if you have anything specific to say about Octopath. Once I go through Lucien's quest, which is I posted some images online. They're like, "Is that Octopath Traveler?" But it's very similar, like vignette. It's a rare RPG for the 3DO. I'm gonna do a review on it. Actually, Lady Pelvic should play the only 10-hour campaign and review it with me. I tweeted at her, but she didn't even respond to that.
That's cold.
So it was.
I don't think you.
I sure did.
I think you're lying.
I sure did, and I didn't get a response. I'm like, I guess she'd.
No, I saw it, and then I responded.
You didn't? Or you did?
I did. Like, you posted a picture, and I'm pretty sure I thought that was Octopath Traveler. I was one of those.
No, you did. What I'm saying is, you said it was Octopath Traveler. You're like, oh my god, I don't remember that character. I'm like, yeah, it's actually this game. It's a really short campaign. It's only like 10 hours. You should play it and review it with me. And then just radio silence.
Did I really? Oh my god, I'm so sorry.
So I was really tentative asking you about this podcast, because I'm like, I don't know if she even likes me anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my
so
god,
I'm like,
so sorry.
Maybe I did something. Maybe I said something. Maybe my dad jokes were just getting too on point.
No!
And it just fractured the relationship.
Well, I think it's back together.
Oh, good. Okay, so long as we're back together, I think we're good. Okay, so
yeah, friendship. I love you.
Okay, so here's an interesting one that I actually really liked. This was from another Patreon, another Patreon user, a patron, a supporter of our show, Mr. Sonic OSG, and he asks. Okay, so limited run games / other limited release companies, because there's more than just limited run games that will do like a batch of 2,000 titles or 1,000 or whatever. Should we consider them on a complete list of games for the console? And then once we kind of say our parts, I'm going to say what he had originally said, because we had this conversation a couple months ago, and then he asked it again. Does anyone in particular want to start this one?
I guess I'll take a rare shot at point here.
Okay.
And I think, it's kind of like the using cheats or emulation, etc., etc. I think it's kind of two separate buckets, in my opinion. I probably wouldn't include them in like an official list of things, especially if it's something from like the SNES era where we had like the Nintendo seal of quality and things like that.
Yeah.
I don't think any of the limited run games have Nintendo seal of quality. Does Nintendo even still give those out anymore?
It's just whether or not you're allowed to go on. Oh, by the way, real quick, he's actually in the chat, and he says, "Oh shit, that's me." Yeah, no, I kind of like that analogy where it's kind of two different buckets. For me, I kind of have a similar thought process where it's like, okay, is it part of the complete list? Yes, it is, because it is a physically released, and it is a sanctioned game. They allowed, whether it's PlayStation, or for the Switch, they allowed them to publish those titles, but it's in it's a low quantity. So, for example, if you wanted all of them, now that they're publishing for the Switch, they have a Switch game like every other week, and they have a PlayStation 4 game like every week. You have to be buying like a $35 game every single week. Not to mention the normal releases, right? That the bigger, AAA releases or what have you. So, for me, it's kind of this category of like, all right, let's say I want a complete SNES collection. Well, technically, I would need the Donkey Kong competition cart that we reviewed the other day, which is like a $4,000 to $5,000 cart if I wanted a complete collection, because that was technically released by Nintendo. About 2,500 of them were released, and they're exceptionally rare. But are they a normal retail release game? What's your qualification for a complete collection, right? Is it every game released that was sanctioned by the company, or is it every retail release that you could get on like regular store shelves, right? So I think that there are some people that would say a complete collection would include that. Some people would say it wouldn't. I think that if you're going into complete collections, you kind of already have a little bit of crazy. If you want to, I'll never get a complete collection of anything. I went for the complete collection of the GameCom, like the Game.com. I got almost all of them, but then I realized just one, most of them were like 10, 15, 20 bucks, because no one cares. One of the games was 200. It was Wheel of Fortune 2. And I'm like, I ain't paying $200 for Wheel of Fortune 2 on the GameCom. So I'm just like, I skipped the rest of them. I'm like, I'm done collecting for this thing. Anyways, point being is that I think some people have different stipulations. Some people would say a complete collection includes the boxes and the manuals for everything. Right, so I think there's different categories. I think for the most part, most people wouldn't consider that part of a balanced breakfast.
Right, and I think I would exclude things like the Donkey Kong competition cart too, because
it's sort of a caveat to a collection. But Lady Pelvic, let us know your thoughts on the matter.
Honestly, thank you for that weird, spacious introduction.
So weird. Not a problem. I'm trying to get our watch time up on YouTube.
But honestly, okay. So when I read this question, I was quite confused. I didn't understand why you wouldn't have take everything, everything ever that has been released on that console to be a part of the your collector's edition. But now that you mention it, $200 for Wheel of Fortune. Now I understand. After you discussed it, I was like, that makes sense. I personally would say retail. What you can get on the shelves now. You know what I'm saying? Because you're right, paying $200, $300, $400. I mean, games are stupid. Old school games that are nicely packaged, never been opened, mint condition, blah blah blah. That could easily rank up to a couple $1,000. Some of them even.
Yeah.
And so I personally I'm not a collector for that reason. I'm not a collector. If I was, it'd be Legend of Zelda everything. But I've even seen some stuff where I'm I'm not about to pay $200 for this or not 200, sorry, $1,000 for the statue of Link. I don't make that YouTube money yet. But I do agree. I think whatever you can get on the shelves that's accessible, you know what I mean? That's reasonably priced. I don't, $100 on a game depends on what game.
Yeah.
Majora's Mask is priceless.
I think it's sort of a situation too where it's even aside from the old retro, super expensive stuff, these limited run games, you'd have to buy a game every week just to keep up with them, not including all the retail stuff. So I think collectors are starting to be well, that's not fair. Because they want a complete collection, but they're that's not fair. But
hold on, what games are coming out every week though? Limited run, physical copy games. What are you?
Yeah.
Are you talking about just digital? Anything that?
Well, what limited run does is they take games that were originally digital release that you couldn't get a physical copy of. They partner with the developer and they release them physically. So it's sort of a situation where they're releasing such a quantity of titles, but at such a low volume per title that it's hard for collectors to keep up with it. So they're like, they can't, so it's like it's...
How often is that though? Like, really? Does it happen that? Maybe I'm not paying attention because I don't see games being released like that.
I'll send you a link. They have stuff like every Friday, and they do countdowns. So it's like, you better get in there quick. And I think collectors are like, oh, well, I didn't make it in time, so now my complete collection's destroyed.
Wow,
So
I did not. It's a whole other side of gaming, my friend, that I didn't
yeah,
even...
it's interesting to say the least. But it's like, I think that you bring up a good point where it's like, even aside from like scarcity, like complete collecting or like being obsessed with complete collecting is a budget breaker. You know what I mean? So it's like, for me, it's not really something that I care a lot about, but I think for a lot of people, it's very important. And like, suddenly it's like, I think it's sort of a situation where it's like, okay, I'm going to swat at this wasp. Okay. And every month I'm going to swat a couple wasps, but then suddenly it's like the hive breaks open and they're everywhere and they're like, I can't keep up with it. It's not fair. They're like, I can't, so I think it's just sort of a situation where it's like collectors being very anal. Oh, I have to change that word because of YouTube. Anal.
Very butt focused.
Very sphinctorious. If you will.
The riddle of the sphincter.
The riddle of the sphincter, if you will. By the way, everybody, I think I told you about this, but John and I are writing a book. And
oh God.
It's actually, that's the riddle of the Sphinx is the second chapter. But it relates to something completely different. It doesn't relate to Buffalo, but close, actually. I'll explain later. Can't say on YouTube what it's in relation to.
I feel like the chat has been really picking up on the ROM shutdown situation. I don't know if we want to take a look back at some of these comments and highlight some of the...
Sure, we could take a quick moment to do that. Why not? Were there ones in particular that you wanted to take a look at, Richie?
I don't know. I feel like there were some questions in there too.
My question is, why is Nintendo going after ROMs now? Money.
They've always been going after ROMs, to be honest. I just feel like they've woken back up from their deep slumber and...
Yeah. Monado Link says, oh my God, I caught H4G live. I don't understand that question. Let's see here. ROMs are widely available still. Nothing much has changed. And with W sites going away. I think maybe there's a typo there.
Let me see. That's with.
With.
Oh, yeah. The second W probably shouldn't be there, but whatever.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, it says Nintendo only went after one site, then another one shut down in fear. My understanding is that it's more than that, but the ones that did shut down were big.
Right.
I mean, you can still get them, but it's the fear of, I think, like preservation purposes. Like, are these games going to be preserved properly? But now they're preserved, but they're kind of disporadic. They're in diaspora, right? Which is a term normally utilized for when the Babylonians like basically went to Israel and like however many BC and like scattered the people. So it's like they still existed, but they were like everywhere. They were in diaspora. I'm probably not pronouncing that right, but it's like I've preserved games. But not everybody has what I preserved, So it's like it's just like a cluster of stuff. So, but I love my analogy, by the way. Really,
I can see that you do.
I'm very pleased with myself. So let's see here.
You've been waiting thousands of years to use
thousands. I'm like, oh man, because I lived through that time.
That's why we call Tony the Babylonian.
Yeah, that's right. I was behind it all. Okay, so I think if we're good with that, let's move on to discussing the Zelda Ocarina of Time mod that came out, but I played a pre-release demo, so it's hopefully coming out in a week or so. No, I don't know, not a week or so, a month or so, excuse me. I don't know if anybody has had the opportunity to watch the video that we released yesterday, but if you want a boatload of information, we already did a video on the subject where I'm actually playing it. You can see the footage, and you can see the footage here too. Oh, bam! I put it on like looping. But for some reason, every time I go back to it, it's only at the beginning. Oh, here we go. I'm moving around. Look at me.
Wow, that's
wow. Look
amazing.
at that action. Wow. like Link looking at himself. So I'm not great with like Discord, or not Discord, but OBS. So like I didn't know how to like capture my window and scroll through. So instead it's just like a video of me in a field. But anyways, I'm sure eventually something will happen. We'll see what happens. But yeah, oh, there we go. I got a second player here. You can see in the video that here's me with Melon speedruns. We're trying to attack each other, but that hasn't been implemented yet. We're changing tunics. Essentially what this mod is an opportunity for you to play a friend or a complete stranger online with Ocarina of Time. Now, it's still in development, so there are things that are out of sync. So, for example, he doesn't see the same enemy I see, but eventually the health bars are on the enemies are going to be sunk, so we can each attack our own enemy, and it'll contribute to the one that we're each fighting, basically, because they have randomized patterns, so it's like you can't put them together. But the fact that he's playing and I'm playing, and we're both in Hyrule Field at the same time, and I can see what he's doing, even though it's a little bit jittery, and he can see what I'm doing, and we can change our own tunics without a really tedious Game Shark code, is pretty damn cool, in my opinion. And you could see, like, we're kind of going through the different tunics, and really, it was a hell of an adventure. Like, even though there wasn't much to do in this world right now, the possibilities are kind of endless in regards to, like, speed running, doing a temple simultaneously, just, like, effery. I can't say the full word because of Richie, but effery. You know, like, let's say Richie's playing the water temple, and I'm like, boom, raise the water. You know, like he's, or whatever, you know, where it's like a situation where, like, I mess up his progress. I like to sort of think of it like New Super Mario Brothers Wii, where you're playing through and you can either be cooperative or you can, like, totally screw each other, right? Scrub each other.
Scrub each other.
Scrub each other.
You're helping each other keep clean.
Bathe in a very platonic way. Richie and I do it all the time.
No, we don't.
All the time.
False.
All the time.
I believe it.
Well, hopefully I'll be awake for the next time.
Yeah. So this is a really cool thing here.
God.
Oh, Richie. So you can see here I'm waiting for him to spawn because he was going to wait 10 seconds before coming in, and then he spawned. So it's like, I know it doesn't seem like much, but when you're working with code that's like 20 years old and you can get that syncing together, it really is big. You know what I mean?
Right. From like a plausibility of this actually becoming like a playable MMO experience, I don't know that that's really going to happen, but even just what's been accomplished so far is just technically incredible.
Yeah, no, Melon Speedruns and the team that he's working with, of which I cannot pronounce any of their usernames, really have outdone themselves. They really did an excellent job. He sent me a link to a video that he did, and I saw the title, and I'm like, I was actually on business in Chicago, Chi-City. And,
boring.
Yeah, it was actually a lot of fun. I just wandered to breweries all day is basically what I did. And I worked.
That's good business.
I worked, yeah. Well, I mean, there's a lot of downtime in between working. But anyways, point being is that I saw it, I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be cool. Like, it was just the excitement of it. And here's something interesting coming up here. Actually, it might take a minute to get to it, but you can kind of see how it's out of sync. Like, so for example, he picks up a plant, and I see that he picks something up, but there's nothing in his hands, right? And the plant that he picks up is still there in my game. So, like, there's still some work to do with, like, making sure it, like, coheses, if you will. But what you're seeing is a beta of a mod, you know. So it's really more about the progress so far and what will be accomplished versus considering this like a final sort of product. So, but I don't know, guys. You know, I know you haven't had an opportunity to play it, but just kind of what sort of things would you like to see from this, or what sort of hopes and dreams do you have for it, or any initial impressions of it? Here's the part right there that I was referencing.
Initial thoughts of it for sure are it looks awesome. Like, I'm watching, like, you know, the gameplay that you put up here, and you're right, for like 20 plus years of code, yeah, like old code,
yeah,
you know, I think they're doing one job. I like that you could switch through the tunics. I think that's a very nice touch.
Mm-hmm.
I hope there's like you know, competitive mini games, you know. For example, like find the chickens, you know, and then throw all the chickens. Who could throw all the chickens in first? Like more of like a collaborative versus or a hindrance.
Okay.
I love these concepts. I like them a lot.
Yeah.
I wonder how they would do boss battles though. Like if someone got to the boss room first, I mean, obviously, like, do they just have to wait till you're done? Obviously not. So they'd probably just join in or something like that. But
yeah,
I think it'd be kind of cool if they I don't know. I want them to do something different with the items. I'm just not sure what yet, because certain things, like, you know, everyone's gonna have the bow of light. Everyone's gonna have like the fire arrows. Everyone's gonna eventually, depending on where you're at in the story, of course.
Yeah.
But I think this is a phenomenal idea. I'm looking at it now and I want to play. Like, I'm ready to play. I'm ready to speedrun. I'm ready to do something crazy.
Yeah, and
you know,
I think that even though there wasn't much to do while I was playing, I was so tickled by it because it was just like, oh, you're doing this and I'm doing that, like, and we're bumping into each other, you know, and it's just, I don't know why. Like, if I were to have, there were any other game where I could not really but kind of interact with someone, it'd be like, okay, cool, you know. But because it was this game, I was like, oh, damn, you know.
I feel like top thing on my wish list would be dungeons that require multiple people to complete, you know, like Four Swords style.
Okay. So you want to see this expanded to, like, not just, okay, here are the temples and see what you can do multiplayer, see what happens.
Or even if you can just rework the temples so that they
like
require multiple peoples to get through, you know?
Like really hacking the temples and redesigning, like a custom level design for this. That could definitely...
That's obviously a big item on the wish list, but that's what I would want to see if I were...
It's not like it hasn't been done. I mean, we've looked at a lot of hacks and mods, or whatever you want to call them, in the past, where there's custom temples, and some of them were pretty good, you know? And... What?
We need a Quest 64 multiplayer. I'm sorry, I can't ignore that.
No,
man, nah.
We were playing Quest 64 a little bit when we were doing the beta quest.
Why?
Well, I was playing it a little bit, and I got, like, into the forest, which is, like, one of the first things you do. And I couldn't figure it out.
The first thing you do is you turn it on, and then you realize what you've done, and you turn it back off.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep,
but,
I agree.
Yeah, so it was just sort of a situation where it's like, wow, this game sucks. And then I remembered renting it as a kid, and I'm like, this is where I stopped when I was a kid. I thought as an adult I could get further in Quest 64, but it just wasn't even a possibility.
No.
You know?
It's not even good.
Yeah.
I did beat it when I was a younger man.
Richie!
And it's one of my great shames.
You should.
Wow. I'm actually
ashamed.
impressed.
You should be very...
How did you get through that? Because I remember as a kid, I got through the forest, or I didn't even get through the forest. I'd enter the forest, and then I would lose, or I just didn't, and I just quit. I got so frustrated.
I don't know if I game charked or if I legitimately got through it, but I did spend more time than any person should ever spend with Quest 64.
It was bad. I mean, that damn first forest. It's like, what the... I was so confused.
I was just so desperate for an RPG on the 64.
Yeah, I got
so
a lot of people were. I think a lot of people, like, see it with rose-tinted glasses, because we got a lot of comments on our beta quest of it. Were you there for that one? The beta quest? I think it was you and Brett.
I was.
And a lot of people were like, this is a great game. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Like, what? It's Quest 64. No. So someone just said Quest 64 is a masterpiece.
That was the person who
Absolutely,
originally suggested that we needed the multiplayer.
Oh, okay.
Rose LaCroix.
So anyways, pulling it back in to Zelda, you know, part of the goal right now, it's to my knowledge, just 2-player. I could be wrong on that, but I think the goal eventually is to get, like, sort of battle royales with it.
Hey, it's Melon Speedruns.
Oh, Melon Speedruns. Okay. So question for you. We had gotten this question, actually. I know that when you and I were just playing it, it was just 2-player. Where we just had 2 players. But right now, in the life of the mod, can more than 2 players join in, or is that something that you're gonna be adding in later? And I know there's gonna be like a 20-minute delay gap with YouTube, so let's just sing and dance while we wait for him to actually hear that. Oh my God, Pelvic Gaming is in the chat.
Yeah, oh my God, it's me.
Somebody made her a mod.
You know what else I think I would like in the dungeons? If we can't have like a full like the Four Swords experience, I think it would be kind of cool if we like there's certain sections of the dungeons where if you had multiple people with you, you could go in those. So we'd still have like the classic old like original dungeons, but like they're just like this door here with maybe like a special emblem that indicates you need 3 players to be here, or X amount of people.
So like potentially.
So that way. So if you want to play alone, you play alone. I mean, I don't know why you want to play this game alone. The whole point of this is to play with multiple people, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think it'd just be a cool way to like keep the true form, but to experience the extra goodies of it all. There's that extra door. You need 3 links or whatever, 2 links, however many.
Yeah.
Would you like raids? Would you like raids? What if? Oh, check this out. So what if they had? I'm getting excited now. So what if they had like raid fights? You know what I mean? Like in any kind of MMO. You know, you're like in Lake Hylia, and then suddenly, like I don't know, like the fish boss from Majora's Mask, even though it's a totally different game, but is in there. You know what I mean? Like the fish is just in the lake. You're like, what the hell? So you're fighting this giant. Like you see like 10 links trying to, you know, hammer out this fish, and obviously it has like 10 times more health than it normally would, or something. You know
I don't know
what I mean?
why, but every time she mentions multiple links, my mind immediately goes to sausages.
I was thinking that too. So based on the chat here, Melon said it'd be crazy with more than 8 people. So it looks like right now you can have up to 8 people in there currently, which of course answers the question of whether it could be more than 2 here. So, and the plan is once this gets a little bit closer to release, I'm planning on having him on the call and like actually doing like a full like interview, which will be a lot of fun. So
very, very cool.
But yeah, so any sort of final thoughts on that?
No, I think we covered it pretty.
Yeah, I said my piece.
Okay. Excellent. Yeah, I think that there's a lot of good ideas there, and I think that especially if it's expanded, you know, or I know some people even mentioned making it open source or something. I don't even know if that's a possibility or what that would involve. But point is that there's a lot of possibility for tinkering. You know what I mean? And whether it's just the dungeons available currently, or whether some people take it and be like, all right, let's really modify this, that, or the other thing, and you know. Then you could just have the possibilities really explode until Nintendo shuts the whole thing down. So, which hopefully
you just had to bring that up.
Knock on wood.
I had faith and belief, and you just stepped on it. No. Nintendo's boot.
I have confidence. In my Melon boy. Melon speedruns is awesome, and
we just have to move. We have to move this underground. Maybe we're bringing it to light too soon.
Well. Stop talking about that, Richie.
This needs to go into the Shadow Temple.
Yeah, exactly. So a couple quick notes. Melon says, yeah, raids would be a good idea. Not sure what the purpose of them would be in a playthrough, but I really like it. Yeah, that's certainly a lot of fun. I mean, I think with a game like Ocarina of Time, you know, people kind of can make their own fun within it, you know, and then you have other people adding things, and then it just expands from there. So that covers pretty much all of our topics for the day. We did the ROM sites, Octopath, emulation, save states, limited run games, and the Zelda Ocarina of Time online mod. I did want to do a couple of announcements. First being that a lot of you may know that we are doing a meet and greet at Retro Taco Video Games. It's in Madison Heights, Michigan, very close to Detroit. And they are our go-to retro game location. They have a lot of great stuff from pretty much every system you could possibly imagine. Someone did buy all the PCFX stuff. So if you're hoping for some adult animated entertainment on the sequel to the PC Engine, not available anymore, unfortunately. But it is what it is, and it makes me sad too. So I'm sorry. But point is that we're going to be doing meet and greet Retro Taco Video Games. It's going to be on September 8th. We're going to be there for 3 hours between 2 and 5 o'clock. Me and John are going to be there the whole time. I think some of the other members, yourself, Bobby, Dan, will be coming in at some point to say hi and chat with everybody. But we're going to have a good time, and it's going to be pretty open, laid back, pretty chill, and we have little 3D printed joysticks for the first 20 people that show up. So.
How very sensual.
Very cool. Well, there's some of them in the back there. Maybe I'll grab one, but maybe I won't. I don't know. Whatever. I don't want to move. Especially since I'm so connected to Richie right now.
Yeah,
But yeah.
Conjoined twins, for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, so, you know, if you're available or in the area, want to take an afternoon drive up to Michigan, come and check it out. It'll be a really good time. But I also wanted to I know... Obviously, she's been here the entire time, but let you guys, if you haven't checked out Lady Pelvic's channel, Pelvic Gaming is what it's called, as you can see from the icon that says Pelvic Gaming with a pelvis, and then the word pelvic and then gaming. So it should be relatively self-explanatory, I would imagine. Definitely check out her channel. She does mostly retro gaming content, but just excellent reviews. She actually joined us in the past, too, with our Wind Waker Beta Quest video, which Melon Speedruns also helped out on because he is a freaking genius when it comes to Wind Waker. I'm sorry, it's just true. But Lady Pelvic, let us know. I know I kind of talked a little bit about your channel, but let us know a little bit about it from your perspective.
No, you covered it pretty well. I do a lot of reviews, specifically JRPGs and platformers. That's kind of like my bread and butter. I've recently just been on this adventure of old school JRPGs. So you'll see like Breath of Fire, Xenogears, Legend of Mana. You'll see some new games too. God of War, not an RPG, but God of War is there. You know, I did Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and stuff like that. So I have like a mesh of things. And then I do some top fives. I haven't been doing them as much as I would like to, and then I'm also streaming on Twitch now.
Right now?
TV/Lady Pelvic. Yeah, I've been. Well,
that's the second time you've used that joke, dude.
Focus.
And no, I finished playing Doki Doki Literature Club. Don't play that game.
Oh my god,
that's what people have told me.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
How does it compare to Hatoful Boyfriend? Have you played Hatoful Boyfriend?
No, I haven't played that. Is that the one where you're like a yandere?
You're a pigeon.
You're a pigeon.
Oh no, okay,
and
that's
it gets
a
weird.
One. All right, no.
It gets fucking weird.
No, don't say that.
I want to play it now.
I'm sorry,
You're
it gets fudging weird.
No, don't say that. Pigeon love is normal, healthy. We actually did this one dating romance game on a live stream that was tanks. So every character was really a tank. Like literally, they were a figure, like a human, but they refer to themselves and were like World War II era tanks. But
and what was that game called?
I'll have to look it up. It's on our channel. It's under the live stream playlist, but I can't remember. It had some weird name. It was like Panzer or something. But yeah. So what's that?
I said weird, but all right.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was. Weird, but it was okay, I guess. But actually had a lot of views for one of our streams. But anyways, yeah, so definitely check out Pelvic Gaming because I've really been on a kick on it lately. I mean, I've kind of been watching it for a couple of years, but there's been so many great JRPGs where I've either played and I'm like, I want to feel that nostalgia again for that adventure, or we were talking earlier, you know, she did Breath of Fire, and I'd always just been really curious about it. And then I watched it and was like, no, I don't want to ever play that game. You know, but it's just like she is just rocking the damn catalog of that era, and I was especially pleased to see that she had reviewed Legend of Mana a while back because I really enjoyed that game, but she still needs to play Secret of Mana, which I believe she has.
I
not.
do.
It's,
I do.
I still haven't either.
You're a bad person, Richie. I'm sorry.
No, I'm going to take your advice, though, because I know you were saying, like, the newer one seems, like, very cheaply made. I think I'm going to go for the original, like, original pixel art, just original.
Yeah,
you know,
I want to play it with Allison sometime.
You should. It's a 3-player game. So you can have a menage a trois with your girlfriend and somebody else.
I'll just play 2 characters.
I'm married, so don't ask me. And no offense.
What about Anna?
No
Can
offense.
I ask Anna?
Oops. I don't know. Based on her behavior last night, you know, with her silliness, maybe.
My hand is actually fine, Melon. Thank you for asking, though. Tony puts me in terrible situations all the time, but my hand's doing all right.
Melon also says stop praising me, which no, I will not.
He also wants to know where the hair comes from, Pelvic. I would say it's probably your scalp, would be my guess.
Yeah,
I was about to say my scalp.
I had never questioned that her hair didn't come from her scalp. I mean, it's right there on top of her head. You know, so I mean, for me, it was kind of a really clean cut and dry. But
yeah, my hair definitely comes from my scalp. I don't have a better or creative answer for you.
Now,
Sorry.
being in my early mid 30s, I'm 32, almost 33, and part Italian. The hair really, for me, comes everywhere. My friggin' nose, my ears, my face, like my chest. Like I am just like a nasty person.
As the hairline recedes, the hair everywhere else makes up for
I love how our bodies, especially men, are like, you know what? You don't need to, you know, as you get older, you don't need to keep warm the most important part. Let's make sure your nose is really warm and insulated. Just keep growing that hair.
That's where infections come in. You want that cilia to block them out.
You do,
because your immune system gets weaker as you age,
But it doesn't need
Tony.
to be like coming out of your like down to your chin, dog.
How do you know?
Have
you done the studies?
I've done the clinical studies. Yeah, I have. Just me. Tony has white hair confirmed. Oh yeah, I definitely have a lot of grays. Mostly. I have one gray hair for one of my former, I don't teach martial arts anymore, but one of my former martial arts students, and one gray hair for each day my child has lived. So, but it's been a great experience. So yeah, that said, I know this has been a very tangential pitch for Lady Pelvic, but definitely check her channel out. You will not be disappointed. Production quality is definitely higher than H4Games, and the consistency and the conciseness of the product is definitely a lot better than H4Games, because one episode it will be totally unlike the other with us, but she's like on point every damn episode. It's like she has standards or something like that. I don't get it. I never have.
Oh my gosh.
Standards just get in the way.
Standards just get in the way. Yeah, they what am I trying to say? They stifle our creativity and lower our sub count.
Oh, no.
But yeah, it's funny how that works. I'm gonna go ahead and stop playing this media source because I don't think we even need it anymore. So hey, just wanted to say one more time. Thank you, everybody, for watching our live H4G Gaiden. Let us know what you think of this live version. We're going to be chopping it up and kicking it out in either maybe highlights as like a single unit or multiple mini episodes. I'm not quite sure yet. I'll ask Richie later, see what he says. But let us know what you think of this live H4G Gaiden versus what we had been doing before, which was like gameplay and us chit-chatting after 2 or 3 takes to really get it down. And no rambling, so you really get the chocolate here, if you will. But yeah, Richie, anything you want to say before you go?
No, I think we had a nice discussion today. I think this could possibly work, maybe.
Yeah, this whole H4Games thing. I hope it does, because we're imploding. Lady Pelvic, any final goodbyes to our audience?
I just want to say thank you to you guys again for inviting me. I'm so sorry that I missed your invite to review a game with you. I'm so sorry. I love you. I would never purposely ignore you. I felt so bad. Oh my God.
Well, you should.
It's probably Tony's fault anyway.
Yeah. Oh, we had 69 people watching. Now it's 68, 67.
That's a lovely number.
Yeah, H4Games, Pelvic Gaming, 69 people watching. Beautiful.
Yeah, it's a fun number.
That's good. It's good. It's good. All right. So listen, everybody. Again, we really appreciate everybody tuning in and watching us. Thank you for everybody who gave us those super chats. It does help us keep the lights on. If you want to ask a Patreon question, we have links to our Patreon page in the description below. Don't have to, but if you want to, you can. It's a lot of fun. You get to go onto our exclusive Discord chat and hear me. You don't hear me because I don't see me. My fingers talk about games and post pictures of my dog. So really,
you're really selling it.
You're selling it. But we all have to dream. And if you want to see more pictures of my bull pug, that's what you got to do. That's what you got to do.
He's a great dog.
Okay. Any last words, anyone?
You're not going to kill us, are you?
Yeah. Any last meals? Last words, Lady Pelvic. Any final thoughts?
No, thank you for having me, and I appreciate you and your wonderful audience.
Oh,
thanks for
coming on.
I should
say you guys, you and Richie. You and Richie. Richie's part of this too. Richie's important.
Richie is important. Richie, he's great.
I'm okay. I'm a B plus.
You're a B plus because there's always room for improvement. But I'm like a B.
Oh my God.
Oh jeez.
Because I think I'm funnier than I am.
I think we all do.
Yeah. But what you gonna do? Hey, how about extending that watch time on YouTube? All right, so we're going to go ahead and stop streaming. Thank you a billionth time to everybody. Thank you to Melon Speedruns for being the man. I will never stop praising you. And talk to you guys later. Lady Pelvic, stay on the line because I do want to talk to you about analytics on YouTube.
Yeah.
So